Do you want to strategically prepare for an unpredictable future? Do you want to turn worst-case scenarios in your business into something you've already planned for? The answer is simple. Don't trust a single prediction. Design multiple futures. Why does this work? This slide explains it all. In the 1970s, the oil crisis shook the world. Most companies had only planned for a single future and fell behind in their response. But Shell recognized the crisis ahead of its competitors and executed a strategic investment shift. The result, a dramatic rise in competitive standing. Why? Because Shell, together with Pierre Wack and his team, had designed multiple future scenarios in advance. The scenario, what if oil prices spike, was already sitting on the table as a ready-made strategy. Philip Tetlock and his colleagues spent decades of research proving just how hard prediction really is. A plan that relies on a single prediction collapses entirely the moment that assumption breaks down. This is not a hypothesis. It's a reality that management research has demonstrated again and again. And here's the critical point. This is achievable. This isn't only for large corporations. You can apply it to your business, your career, and your life planning starting today. This will transform how you make decisions. Today, let me show you the scientific foundation behind it. First, let's answer the fundamental question. What is scenario planning? Most companies try to predict the future. What will the market size be next year? What will demand look like 5 years from now? Then they bet everything on the most accurate forecast. But this is fundamentally wrong. Here's a critical distinction you need to understand. Risk, where you can assign probabilities, and uncertainty, where assigning probabilities is inherently difficult, are two entirely different things. Weather forecasts fall into the first category. Geopolitical shifts in the pace of technological innovation fall into the second. In 1921, economist Frank Knight was the first to draw this distinction clearly. Scenario planning treats this uncertainty as a design variable. The goal isn't to guess which future will come. It's to build a state where you can respond to any future that arrives. You might be thinking this right now, but it's impossible to prepare for every possible future. Here's the answer to that objection. Scenario planning doesn't prepare you for every future. It narrows down to the critical uncertainties and designs a handful of representative futures. That narrowing process is the key to a strategy you can actually execute. And Pierre Wack's greatest contribution was redefining scenarios, not as predictive calculations, but as tools that change how executives see the world. Shell's practice advanced through the 1970s, and Wack detailed the approach in his 1985 HBR article. Uncertainty is not your enemy. Designed correctly, it becomes your most powerful weapon. Now, let me show you the core of this. Scenario design has two major approaches. Let's start with the simplified version you can use immediately. A base case, an optimistic scenario, a pessimistic scenario, and a wildcard. This four-scenario structure is the most accessible starting point. The base case is the most likely future, the one where current trends continue. The optimistic scenario is the future where key conditions improve. What if the market expands rapidly? What if regulations ease? The pessimistic scenario is the future where key conditions deteriorate. What if demand collapses? What if new competitors enter your space? But here's an important addition. The true Shell approach, the Pierre Wack approach, goes beyond base case-centered thinking. What Wack developed was the 2x2 matrix method. Identify the two most critical uncertainties in your industry, combine them as axes, and draw four structurally distinct worlds. For example, set speed of technological innovation and strength of regulation as your two axes. This produces four completely different worlds. Strong regulation times accelerating technology, strong regulation times stagnating technology, weak regulation times accelerating technology, and weak regulation times stagnating technology. The power of this method lies not in designing scenarios that differ in degree, optimistic versus pessimistic, but in designing scenarios where the very structure of the world changes. The number of scenarios can be adjusted from 3 to 6 depending on your purpose and complexity. What matters isn't the perfect number, it's not overlooking the most critical uncertainties. Now, how do you actually use this system? Scenario planning has 4 steps. Step 1. Identify the key uncertainty drivers. What are the variables with the greatest impact on your business or career? Market demand trends, the pace of technological innovation, regulatory shifts, competitive moves. Don't get greedy here. Narrow it down to the few variables that matter most. That narrowing process is what produces actionable scenarios. Step 2. List out the possible outcomes for each driver. For each variable you've identified, map out multiple possibilities for what could happen. For demand, rapid expansion; status quo, rapid contraction. For regulation, tightening; unchanged, loosening. This enumeration becomes the raw material for your scenario design. Step 3. Build scenarios from combinations that don't contradict each other. You don't need to consider every possible combination. Select only the combinations that are logically plausible and shape them into a handful of scenarios. Step 4. Develop a response strategy for each scenario. For each scenario, decide specifically, if this future arrives, what will we do? This is the final deliverable of scenario planning. Professor Shoemaker of Sloan Management Review systematized this process in 1995, and the OECD endorsed this framework in its 2019 Policy Foresight Research. Once complete, you'll be in a state where any future that arrives is already within what you planned for. There's something I want you to pay special attention to here: wildcard scenario design. Most business professionals design the base case and the optimistic and pessimistic scenarios. But the number of people who design wildcard scenarios is dramatically smaller. Why? Because they have a low probability of occurring. But that's exactly what makes them dangerous. The 2008 financial crisis, COVID-19. Organizations that had scenario planned for these events turned crisis into opportunity. Let me add a note on the rapid spread of generative AI. This can't simply be called a wild card, because the accumulation of AI research and investment had existed over the long term. Technological change that materializes faster than expected is more accurately designed as a separate category, a rapid realization scenario, rather than a wild card. So how do you find your own organization's wildcards? There are 3 criteria. First, choose events with the potential to transform your entire industry. Second, the event must have a non-zero probability of occurring. Third, there must be observable signals that can be monitored. Here's where a critical tool comes in: signposts, early warning indicators. For each scenario, define in advance the signs that this reality is approaching. Then monitor them every quarter and confirm which scenario is reality moving toward. With this approach, systematized by Professor Shoemaker in 1995, scenarios transform from plans on paper into real-world response systems. In your industry, what's the event that seems most impossible right now, but would change everything if it happened? Take that question with you today. Now, let's apply this to your actual planning. Let's look specifically at what you'll do starting tomorrow. First, schedule a 90-minute scenario planning workshop sometime this week. A notebook and pen or a spreadsheet is all you need. The first 15 minutes, list your uncertainty drivers. Write down every variable you can think of, then narrow it to the ones with the greatest impact. The next 20 minutes, enumerate outcomes for each driver. For each variable you selected, map out the future across 3 levels: high, medium, and low. Don't aim for perfection. Prioritize speed. The next 25 minutes, combine your scenarios, remove contradictions, and shape the results into a handful of logically consistent futures. The final 30 minutes, develop your response strategies. For each scenario, summarize on 1 page. If this happens, what do we do? Let me share one important premise. This 90 minutes is not about creating a finished product. It's about creating a working draft. A full-scale scenario requires research and iteration, but 90 minutes is enough to break out of your current thinking framework. Precision builds up through quarterly updates. Now, let me introduce one powerful tool: the use of generative AI. Ask ChatGPT, Give me 5 scenarios that could destroy my industry. Low probability but catastrophic. Humans tend to unconsciously filter out impossible events due to cognitive bias. But AI functions as a sparring partner that breaks through that bias. With this approach, highlighted by MIT Sloan Management Review in 2024, you can rapidly make your blind spots visible. Now, let's pull the key points together. A strategic blueprint for an uncertain future. Let's bring it all into focus. First, always design multiple scenarios. Whether it's the simplified 4-scenario structure or the shell-style 2x2 matrix, both work. What matters is, don't skip the wildcard. And set signposts, early warning indicators, for each scenario and monitor them every quarter. By regularly confirming which scenario reality is moving toward, plans on paper transform into real-world response systems. Second, it's not enough to just build scenarios. You have to measure them too. In addition to monitoring early warning indicators, combine stress tests, numerically verifying your resilience under worst-case conditions, and the specificity of your decision-making rises even further. Scenarios are the story. Stress tests are the durability trial. That combination is what turns strategy into action. Third, start by building a 90-minute working draft, then improve precision through quarterly updates. Don't wait for perfection. Start by breaking out of your current thinking framework. And use generative AI as your sparring partner to rapidly extract the wildcards you're missing. And now, ask yourself this. In your business or career, what is the future you most don't want to see right now? Has it already been turned into a scenario? In your industry, at this very moment, is there a wildcard you're overlooking? Share your scenario planning practice in the comments. What uncertainty drivers did you identify? What wildcards did you design? Your insights sharpen the strategic thinking of this entire community. Thanks for investing your time in mastering this today. This channel takes proven strategic thinking tools like scenario planning and delivers them in a form you can use starting today. Not theory, but practice. Not intuition, but science. That's how we design your decision-making. Subscribe, and let's sharpen your strategic thinking together next time. Turn on notifications, and your decision-making quality will keep rising consistently. See you in the next one.